All right, folks, thanks for checking out my broadcast. And if you've been trying to watch me live today, thank you for being very patient. My name is Jonathan. I created this channel to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. Today is weigh-in Wednesday. I am going to try to hop on the scale right here and see what my weight is today. It says excellent connection still, so let's hope that that keeps up here. Let me see if this is connected and working as well. So let me switch over to here. Oh, that's the wrong button. So it looks like it's working a little bit. All right, so it seems to be working better than it was a few seconds ago. So a quick recap. I started this channel on November 1st, 2020. I had a starting weight of 519.8 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 200 pounds so far. Last week, I weighed in at 304.2 pounds. I've talked about it a little this past few days. I traveled this weekend and we had went out to eat. And so I did not stay salt, oil, sugar free through the whole week. And I have been finding that anytime I consume anything that has salt in it, that I tend to retain some fluids for a little while afterwards. So I'm expecting to have a gain here. I'm going to hop on the scale and we'll see what happens. So that might be hard to see, but it's 309.4. I'm going to update that. I just knocked my scale. This up. Current weight 309.4. All right. So I had a 5-pound gain this week. That is a big gain, and it is a bit frustrating to be floundering at this 300 to 310 point. But something that I've mentioned in the past is that even at having a gain here, I'm still maintaining over 210 pounds of weight loss. And that is an accomplishment in itself for me, because generally it's either I'm on a diet or I'm off of a diet. And I never really find that happy medium. And a lot of times, I guess when I say diet, what I'm talking about is calorie restrictive diets. It's just kind of what comes. It's what I guess my past experiences have been with weight loss, have been by eating low volume, low calorie diets, generally eating below 1,000 calories or below 1,500 calories for extended times. And that generally results in a weight loss. The downside to eating a diet like that is that it's very difficult to maintain that diet for any amount of time or any length of time. And so with the way I'm eating now, it is much different. Let me see if I can get a response back here. Pretty Crow's mom says woohoo. So you must be getting connected. I am trying to see. I don't know if anybody is picking up. It looks like a few people are starting to chat, which is nice here because if you're just watching this video, I've been having some difficulty getting the live stream going today. So I'm kind of seeing if people are getting there. DJ W says, yes, we all have fluctuations here. Yeah. And again, for me, a big part of it is that I'm not out of control. I feel like I've actually been very much in control, even with having the weight gain. I made decisions to stop. I mean, when traveling is difficult, and that was in the traveling is difficult, and so it makes staying on a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet even more difficult because there's really very little options for getting food that's prepared by other people and still being compliant. We had done a decent job with preparing, and really the travel on the way down went really well because we had lots of snacks and food, and it was the travel on the way back. I think that exhaustion was part of it. And I think that anybody will run into that with any diet that they're doing, is that when you're not getting enough sleep, then you tend to make poor decisions. And know a lot of the different doctors that do promote eating a plant-based diet. A big part of what they also talk about is getting enough sleep. In fact, the book, The Pleasure Trap, which I constantly recommend, has a whole chapter dedicated to recognizing, sleep deprivation within our lives. They do a lot talking about the invention of the light bulb or electricity, and how those inventions have changed the window in which we are awake. Because prior to having a light bulb, prior to having electricity, our days were dictated by the sunlight. And when the sun went down, there wasn't a lot to do. So you would go to sleep, and then you would wake up well rested. And that's what they talk about in a few of these books, is trying to get to bed earlier and to sleep until you wake up naturally, which everybody having an alarm clock on their phone or having one on your nightstand, it changes the schedule in which we wake up, because we force ourselves to potentially wake up sooner than we would naturally, so that we can get our day going. And when you're traveling, you're just, for us, the traveling that we did this past week, we were doing a very hectic schedule. We left on a Friday morning. We drove for 6 hours to hang out really for one day or 2 nights. Slept in a crap bed, and then had to do a 6-hour drive back, which turned into an 8-hour drive back because we have 4 kids under the age of 10, and trying to tell them to go to the bathroom while we're stopped, and then having them say they don't have to go to the bathroom, then 10 minutes later saying, oh, I changed my mind, I have to go to the bathroom now, drags out that travel even longer. And it just makes it difficult to keep up that resolve to stay away from making poor choices. And so, again, I'm not really upset about the restaurant that we went to. It's very rare. It was in St. Louis, which is 5 hours from where we're at. So it's not like it's a regular occurrence for us, or will be a regular occurrence for us to go there. But because we had that trip happen this week, I have that weight fluctuation in my diet. I have no doubt that I will be able to get myself back down, lose that 5 pounds fairly rapidly. And I've also been making changes in my diet since this weekend that I feel are going to continue to help with bringing my weight down. I am going to remove the nut butter from my diet, and I'm also going to remove the Ezekiel bread and the sourdough bread. I think that those are all things that will help me to lower the calorie density of the food that I'm eating, and that will help result in a positive weight loss overall. And this is about the long term. This is about doing it for 3 years. It's not about what I did this past week. It's what I am going to do, for the next week, for the next month, for the next year, and then, the rest of my life going forward. And the goal is to get it to overall trend in a downward direction. And really, if I look at, the last week, that's frustrating. If I look at the last month, then it's not so bad. If I look at the last 6 months to a year, then, I'm still down from where I was a year ago. I'm definitely down from where I was 6 months ago because I gained some weight at the end of 2021. And it's a learning process. I think that is what I have to also, keep reminding myself, is that I am 20 months into this, and nobody is necessarily going to be an expert in this type of eating or this way of eating or how to deal with these situations in a year and a half. Some people, it may take, years and years or decades to get it figured out. And I'm kind of doing it in real time in front of a camera. And so it's a little bit different than a lot of times when people start YouTube channels or start videos like this. They've already succeeded. They've already gotten to their goal weight and they have it figured out, I guess, in some ways. And for me, I am still learning. I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me and what's going to keep me continuing to lose weight. And we're human, we have to take our experiences and learn from them. And I made a decision based off of past experience. I knew that it would affect me on the scale, the choices I made this past week. I think in the back of my head, I hoped that the increase in activity that I was having over the weekend would have counteracted any of the negative results of the food I ate. But I couldn't know what was going to happen until after it happened, though. I can't predict the future with it. And like I said, it's going to come back off quick. So I'm not really worried about that. DJ W says, you gained over 2021 holidays to 10 pounds, just got that back off. Will you be snacking on cashews, or is that going to? Cashews are gone. Yes, I'm going to be removing the nuts from my diet as much as possible. There may be some cashew seasonings or dressings or sauces that we make that go on to some meals, but I will not be snacking on cashews. I won't be taking handfuls of cashews and eating them. Last night, I actually had to resist the temptation. We don't have any of like the whole cashews that we normally get from like Costco, or there's a place near us called Natural Grocers. But we do have a bag of like cashew pieces, I think it's called, or crushed cashew. It's like cashews that are broken up, and they are sitting next to our stove or our sink. And last night I saw the bag and I made a comment to Carrie about, oh, I should eat some of those, and I would love to eat some of those, but I did resist the temptation of eating them. And those cashews are going to be those cashews are just going to be for using in a recipe if we need to use them in a recipe. So I'm going to avoid that. Just Me says, good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. No problem. Just me. I struggled to get started for 20 minutes. I had internet issues. I had to reset my internet. I had to restart my computer. So I got started late here. So not any worries at all. DJ Joe, you said great nuts as a condiment here too. Yes. I mean, we had, so two of the things that we bought on the way down there that are kind of on our kind of the edge of whether or not we're okay with them or they're doing okay by us is the cashews. And then the other is the dried mango from Costco. And we had picked up a pound of cashews and the dried mango for that trip so that we had something to snack on. And we got through the pound of cashews pretty much on the way down, or at least before we traveled back. And that was also contributed to my weight gain, I'm sure, is the amount of cashews that I ate. And it's, I'm really working my diet every day, every week, just to do what I can to improve it. And I'm really getting to a point where I need to be making the best decisions every time I go to put something in my mouth, or else it's going to eventually, or I'm going to keep staying where I'm at. And so I'm going to start following some more of kind of what Dr. McDougall talks about in the starch solution, what Chef AJ talks about in her books, and focus more on eating that lower calorie dense foods. And in fact, last night I did that as well. And I also wanted to talk about that too, is that I know that I could have had a better way in today. I know that I could have made decisions yesterday that would have resulted in a lower weight. And the biggest decision I could have fasted. And it's very easy for me to skip a meal at this point. I've found, I fasted for a very long time at the beginning of this channel. I've done 2-3 day fasts multiple times in the past 18 months to try to drive my weight down, to get good results on the scale. And last night when I got home, I could have said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to eat tonight or tomorrow morning so that I have a lower weight when I weigh in tomorrow. But I continue to find that it just is a false weight loss. It's the only weight that I'm really losing by doing that is the fiber in my stomach, or the amount of food that's in my stomach. And that as soon as I weigh in, I go home, I eat, and my body fills up with that fiber, and it keeps that fiber in there till I bring more in to push that through. And it really doesn't help me. And in doing the fasting for a day or 2 days, I think tends to lead to some binging on foods, or me overeating when I do decide to start eating again. So last night I made the decision to continue to just eat like normal. And that way I'm not in a position where I would have gone home today and been starving and shoved a bunch of food in. Carrie says that you got to keep your mouth busy while driving. Yes, that is something that I have really struggled with, because that has just been the way it's been for me for the 20 years that I've been driving, is that anytime I go on a long distance trip, I want to have some sort of food to snack on, have that bag of cashews, have that bag of mangoes. Now, in the past, it was having candy, it was having bags of chips, it was having anything to keep my mouth occupied or keep me from getting bored while driving. Carrie says we should try listening to something really interesting next time and see if that would keep us awake just as well. And really it's, I'm not great with traveling, and I'm going to be doing an interview this afternoon with Chef AJ's group, and if that's something that comes up, Chef AJ, in her book, The Secret to Ultimate Weight Loss, she has a whole chapter dedicated to traveling and eating this way. And I think that she did that because it's that important to find a way to travel and to still be compliant. And we were mostly compliant with, the exception of that meal, and then the calorie density of the foods that we did eat with the cashews probably brought that up as well. Barb says, great attitude. Relatively minor fluctuations are normal and great training for your maintenance phase. You're 45 pounds post weight loss or you're 45 years post weight loss and still deal with it. Yes. And to kind of that point with the training for your maintenance phase, is that I really have struggled with that kind of going back to the weight loss phase. I was really in the weight loss phase for the first year and very focused on staying committed to the diet and eating very simply and finding what, just things to fill my gut, but the calorie density of those foods generally were lower, and I was seeing success with the weight loss. I was still eating some things that I've gotten rid of now, like the nut butter. Recently, that's the one item that I had started on this diet, eating the Ezekiel bread with the nut butter, and has been the thing that I've wanted to keep in my diet the longest. I've wanted to hold on to the nut butter, because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, for that first year I had nut butter and I still lost weight. And so why can't I still have nut butter and still lose weight? And it's because my body has reached that equilibrium where maybe when I was 350 or 400 pounds, my body was burning more calories to keep me awake or keep me alive. And I could have that nut butter and I would still be at a calorie deficit for the day. Now I can't eat that nut butter and still be at a calorie deficit for the day. So I have to get rid of that nut butter. And there's been things that I added in, like the juice, that I really wanted to hold on to that. I really would love to still be able to drink cherry juice every day, but it got to a point where I went from drinking like 6 to 8 ounces of cherry juice once a day to drinking 16 to 30 ounces of cherry juice a day. And so I was doubling or almost quadrupling my consumption of cherry juice because I was allowing it in my diet. Well, it's part of my diet. I can have this. So instead of drinking water, I'm going to go drink cherry juice. And I had to get rid of that. Another food that I tried to introduce into my diet was avocado. I was making avocado toast there from about 1 year to the 16-month mark. I had this awesome toast that I would make with the Ezekiel bread. I'd put a little bit of miso on it, throw some avocado on top of that, and then a mango salsa that we would get. And it tastes amazing. And I really would love to have that every day. But again, it was leading to me overeating the avocado. I was eating pretty much a full avocado a day, and I had to cut that back out. So because I want to lose weight, I want to get into the weight loss phase. When I get down to my goal and I weigh 220 pounds or 210 pounds, if I want to look at introducing avocado back into my diet, then I could potentially add it back in. But while I am still focusing on weight loss, I have to make decisions that are going to promote weight loss. And I did that a bit with the dinner last night. There is some of the there's some tahini that we've had, and that is kind of sesame seeds, which also tends to be higher in calorie density. But again, I'm using it as a condiment. It's not that I'm adding to the food. So I'm going to go over food real quick here because I did not go over that yet today. So last night, got home, and Carrie had made a wonderful, one of my favorite dishes. And again, this also leads to, we've found new recipes that we like over the past 2 years. And when we first started this, there was like 4 or 5 recipes that we would kind of switch between. And I would never tend to feel like I overate those recipes too much because it wasn't too exciting. But now that we've been doing this for 20 months, we found a lot of meals that we that have become our new favorites that I'm willing to eat more of, or I go back for seconds of, because I like how much they taste. And when I go back for seconds of dinner and then still have Ezekiel bread, then I'm just, with the nut butter, I'm just putting my daily calorie intake even higher. So last night we had one of my favorite meals. It's not the most pretty picture here because it's after I mix everything together, but this is the rosemary and bake casserole. It is rice and sweet potatoes, and then there is a tahini mixed in with that. That is, like I said, one of my favorite meals. It's a meal that I definitely could eat a couple bowls of, and I did last night. I kind of started off with a smaller bowl, and then I had a larger bowl for the second bowl. And then the other thing, and I wasn't full, so I felt like I wanted to eat some more food, and I had this is the other thing I made last night. It's kind of hard to see here, but there is a couple small baked potatoes, or it's not small, a decent amount of baked potatoes there. And then we took a steamer bag of rice that I cooked up, the steamer bag of rice, and I put that together. And I talked a lot yesterday about trying to find a way to incorporate the spicy habanero mustard that we get from Primo's into my diet, because I had been putting that on sourdough bread, and I wanted to find another alternative. And I did get a lot of comments yesterday, people recommending dipping it in potatoes or mixing it with potatoes. And so last night I took some of our regular dressing that we use on our salads, which is a mustard based dressing. It has the Primo's garlic mustard and a little bit of tahini in that, and then some dates and apple cider vinegar. And so I took that dressing that we normally put on our salads. And then I added a little bit of so this is kind of an example of the mix I did of the dressing, and then put some of the spicy habanero dressing in that. But so I mixed the potatoes, the broccoli, and the two different types of mustard together. And I really liked the flavor. It got me that spiciness that I really like from the habanero mustard. And then it gave me the volume that I needed from the potatoes and then the broccoli I mixed in there together. I ate that. I still had half a bag of the broccoli, so I did the same thing. This is the picture I showed again is just the rest of the broccoli that I mixed mustard, the mustard dressing and the mustard spread into just the broccoli. So I was able to get the volume of food without the calories. Normally, instead of eating the second half of the bag of broccoli, I would have gone to the Ezekiel bread with the nut butter. And calorie wise, overall, this is fewer calories than that would have been, which is what I need. I need to increase the volume of the food I'm eating and decrease the calories. And that's what's going to help me to lose weight overall. Carrie says here that she's been trying to make meals that include so she's been trying to make meals that include tahini or coconut less. Just Me says that if you like carbonated drinks, maybe you can try mixing Spindrift with your juice of choice. You usually do half lemon or lime Spindrift with half Simply apple or orange juice. Yeah, that does sound good. We did for a little while there. We had sorry, I'm just trying to report that. We were drinking LaCroix and we were drinking some other carbonated waters. And I really just, I don't mind them, but I don't think that they were helping with my cravings for sweet things. I think that they were just driving me to try to find more sweet things or to eat more sweet things. So, did I say a bag of rice? Okay. Yeah, it was a steamer bag of broccoli. I bet the Spindrift and the cherry juice would be great. The cherry juice I really liked. So yeah, it would be an option to do that, but I'm gonna just eliminate it right now. When I get down to my maintenance phase, then I'm really hoping that there are some foods that I can bring back and try, but at the same time, I might not be able to, but I need to find out what's going to keep my weight going in the right direction, or keep it going down. So, but thank you for the recommendation. And that's something that, not just with the juices, but there's other things that people have talked about, like with the cashews. Somebody recommended yesterday, if a recipe has cashews, to substitute white beans in for the cashews, and just finding these little hacks, I guess you would call them, or finding the things that allow you to get that volume, to still have the flavor and the texture that you're looking for, but then to lower the calorie density of the food overall. Some more photos of food that I ate. I talked about this in the past, but I am not a huge fan of watermelon. I'm trying to get it to grow on me. And so Carrie had a big watermelon in the house yesterday, and there was a piece sitting out. And so I thought, why not eat another piece of water? Why not eat a piece of watermelon? It is growing on me. I'm finding it more enjoyable than I did, even last year. It's been it's been growing on me. I like it a lot. I'm liking it more and more the more I try it. And I try to talk to my kids about these foods and how when you first try a lot of these foods that your body doesn't know what to think of the food because it might not be, it might not recognize it. And so with watermelon, it's not a food that I eat normally. So my body doesn't know what to think when you eat watermelon for the first time, or when you eat beans for the first time, or you eat brown rice for the first time. Your body doesn't know what to think. But then after it has the chance to process that food, and your gut microbiome sends signals back to your brain and says, hey, whatever you just ate is something that we really liked, then the next time you go to eat that food, your brain will be like, oh, this is what my gut said it really liked. So we like this flavor now, and we need to send the signals to this person's brain that says that these foods are good for you and that you're going to enjoy them. So I keep giving anything that's whole food, plant-based a chance, and watermelon's no exception. And so, like I said, it's growing on me here. I then took a photo of this morning's breakfast because Carrie says that the girls in our house would happily polish off a watermelon in one day. Yes, they were going through it pretty fast yesterday. And then this morning for breakfast, I had our savory oatmeal. That is been a regular staple for us. And like I said earlier, I could have skipped breakfast. I would have seen a better result on the scale today, but I feel like that just ends up leading to me binging later on or making poor decisions later on with my diet. And then so our oatmeal is oats and onions and spinach and mushrooms. And we use a plant-based soy milk for the liquid in it. And then when we finish the cooking of the oatmeal, we sprinkle some Kirkland's no salt seasoning, and then we add a little bit of this organic lemon juice that I took a photo of this so you guys could see that. I keep getting these stupid things. That I don't know if there's a way for me to get some sort of auto bot from having those pop up. But yeah, this is the lemon juice. There's about 40 lemons in every bottle, it says. So that is the food that I have eaten since yesterday. So no volume restriction, just trying to bring the overall calories of the food that I'm eating down, because that's really what I need to start focusing on as I go forward. If I want to continue to see the weight loss, is I got to really focus on calorie density. And if it means that I'm eating bowls of potatoes and broccoli for a little while, then so be it. 2 years ago, I would have cringed at the idea that I would eat a dinner of rice and sweet potatoes and white potatoes and broccoli. But that was essentially what I ate last night, was potatoes and rice, sweet potatoes and broccoli. So it has been, but I feel extremely satisfied. The only thing that I would say is that I don't feel like I processed as much food as I normally do through my body without, I don't know how better way to say that, but the food feels like it's backed up a little bit in my gut, or that it just slowed down. So I'm not sure what would cause that, but that will affect the scale. And, like I could go and, yeah, anyways. So that was kind of the food over the last, day. Overall, things have been going great, with everything else with my activity. We're hitting the summer, and just naturally at work, there's more for me to do. And I was outside a lot today doing work. Yesterday, I was out on a job site. I hadn't been out on a job site in a long time. It really had been a while. And I got some soreness from it. I can feel some soreness in my muscles. There's some different lifts I hadn't done in a while, and some working out that I hadn't done in a while. And it feels good to work those muscles out, or to exert that energy. And I think that will also help with the weight loss as well, is just getting into our busy season and being, more active with that. So I'm not sure. I have some time to kill today. I screwed up the timing in my head. I was thinking that, for whatever reason, I was thinking 4 p.m. Pacific time meant 2 p.m. Central, and it actually means 6 p.m. Central. So I have a meeting later today, or I have that meeting later today that I thought was going to be 2 hours ago, and it's going to be actually, or 3 hours ago, but it's going to be actually an hour from now. So I was trying to find a new audiobook to listen to last night. There was a couple suggestions that had come up on the Audible page of, hey, you might like these books. And I listened to kind of the samples that they had, and nothing has jumped out at me yet. So if there is any audiobooks that you guys recommend, let me know, that I could get on Audible, and I might check that out. But I feel like I've read a lot of the books that people recommend, and I may go back and listen, or I may go and listen to the McDougall book, the McDougall program for maximum weight loss. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I do need to pick out a book and start listening to it. I feel like it's been too long, and I need that kind of continued education to help kind of keep this going, because that's been a big factor, is continuing to learn and trying to find the continued motivation. In the past, I have, maybe read a diet book and then tried to follow that author's diet. And every author has a different recommendation or a different diet. And a lot of times those books that I used to read in the past were promoting that calorie restrictive diets or eating less volume of food. And again, I can do it for a little while and have success for a little while, but overall, in the long run, those diets don't seem to work. And I think that they allow people to continue to eat bad food and feel good about eating that bad food. And that is not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying, and I talked about it, I guess, yesterday for a while, is that this has all been new to me. And eating things like the rice and beans and tahini, rice and sweet potato and tahini was never something that I thought I would be eating. And so it is, it's all new to me. So Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions, maybe throw them up in the chat, but I don't really have much more to go over today. I wish I would have had a better weigh in, but that is the way it works. And it just gives me more room for weight loss next week. I've made, I feel like, some significant changes in my diet in the past couple days that I won't see the results from those significant changes for a week or a couple weeks. And I just have to be patient. It's about the long run. It's about the 3 years. It's not about the 1 week. It's about getting to my healthy weight in a reasonable amount of time. Many times in the past, I would just try to get that line to go as fast down as possible. And I wouldn't be patient, and I would make choices that would maybe in the short run have positive results, but in the long run were unsustainable. Ron asks, do I track my water intake? I do not track my water intake. I just kind of drink till I feel satisfied. I drank a little bit more water today during the day than I normally drink on like weigh-in days. So one of the things that's changed for me in the past couple months is I'm in a new office. And when I first started this challenge, the office, or really for the whatever, up until 2 months ago, the office that I was in didn't have water that I would drink out of the tap. It was from a well, and it really had a lot of rust in it and was very sulfury smelling and tasting. And so I would essentially dry fast during the day. Like if I had a bottle of water in my truck, or then I might have some water around. But I found that not having water around, I craved it less. I didn't drink as much. And now that I am in my new office, we have city water. And so I have a cup of water right here that, and so I don't dry fast, I guess, for lack of a better explanation, like I was. So my water consumption has increased in the past couple weeks. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know what the right thing to do with water is, because it's just I don't think it's a bad thing to drink more water, but it might cause me to have more fluid in my system and overall be heavier. But I really, the sodium that I had in the past week is, it's incredible the amount of, or the effect that that has on my system, that I never would have considered that previously. It wouldn't have been a thought at all. You know, most of my diets would have been very heavy in the sodium. I mean, the diet I did in 2013, it was an awful diet. I wouldn't recommend it. I was taking a prescription of phentermine to help keep my weight, keep my appetite suppressed. And I know that my drink of choice was like a Powerade Zero, which has a ton of sodium in it. And then I was eating Polish sausages, you know, like processed meat, and that's also got a lot of sodium in it. And to eat this diet now, where I eliminate the sodium, it's my skin feels great when I don't have sodium, and the swelling around my legs is almost non-existent. It's just wild to me how much swelling comes back. And it's not like it's oh my God, look how swollen my leg is. But it is, wow, I can tell a difference. Like just in having salt in my diet versus not having salt in my diet. And so, so I don't track the water intake, and I don't know, like I said, what the right thing to do with that. Let's see, Ron says that you think drinking enough water helps your digestion and keeps your cravings at a reasonable level. And that is, like when I water fasted, that was definitely, if I got hungry, I'd drink some water and it would satiate that hunger craving. And I think that even without water fasting, that would also kind of satiate the cravings to eat something, and had we had and I also didn't realize, like, I have a better understanding of my digestive system than when I started this. And I didn't realize how important water is to digestion, and that your body kind of sucks the water out through your intestines, and it gets some of the nutrients through like the dissolving of the food into water, and then absorbing the water through your digestive tract, and that affects things. And I never would have known that before I started this. And Pretty Girl's mom says that you should see results with those new changes. I don't think that it'll be long before I see some positive results from eating a much, and I wasn't eating a real high calorie dense diet, but overall it can change, just that little difference can make a world of change, because if my total daily energy expenditure is 2,500 calories and I'm eating 4 pounds of food at 1,000 calories of 1,000 calories per pound, that I'm eating 4,000 calories, and I'm eating a 15,000 calorie surplus. But if I can eat a 500 calorie diet and I eat 4 pounds of food, then I'm going to be at 2,000 calories and I'll be at a 500 calorie deficit. So I could eat the same volume of food, but at half of the calorie density, then I will see my weight go down overall. And I know Chef AJ in her book puts a number of like 577 calories per pound. And so that would put somebody eating, let me just do that real quick. So if you ate 577 calories per pound and you ate 5 pounds of food, you're at 2,885 calories. And just changing that by 100 calories and eating 677 calories per pound and eating 5 pounds of food, then you're going to have 500 calories more in your body, and it's going to be, it'll cause more of a weight gain, or it could be that tipping balance. And so that's what I have to work on, is getting below getting the calorie density to be low enough that I can be satisfied. I don't have to worry about my body trying to binge, and still using my food to work for me versus against me. Ron says the changes take a bit of time. Your persistence and attitude is admirable. Well, thank you. And really, and that's the persistence is the 3-year thing. I already talked about this once, but I always gave up. I always, like I was thinking about it today. Like for me, a cheat meal is going to a restaurant and having a plant-based meal. It was I had, tofu and tempeh and spinach on a muffin with a hollandaise sauce or a cheesy cashew sauce on it. That's my cheat meal now. I would have laughed 2 years ago if you told me my cheat meal had tahini and tofu in it, or not tahini, tempeh and tofu in it. Because 2 years ago, if I would have been on a keto diet or an Atkins style diet, then my cheat meal would have been spending $15 at McDonald's or going to a gas station and getting a bag of candy. And it wouldn't have been one cheat meal. It would have been a cheat day, and then it would have turned into a cheat week. And that was, why I challenged myself to do this for 3 years, because I wanted to say, well, even if I do screw up and have a cheat day or a cheat meal or a cheat week, that I get back on track and I start doing what needs to be done to lose the weight. And I feel like I'm very fortunate that I found eating a whole food plant-based diet, and it really has had a positive impact on my overall health, even if the rest of my life I stayed at 309 pounds, but I continued to eat a plant-based diet, I would be healthier than I was by far. I mean, the me at 309 pounds, I feel like the energy I'm feeding myself and the food, that I'm choosing to eat is going to help me live longer than most people that weigh 310 pounds. Because a lot of people that eat 310 pounds are eating fried food, eating lots of oil, and lots of products that have just ridiculous chemicals in them, like the Polish sausage that I talked about, the processed meats. And so for me, it has been a great change. And like I said, even if I stopped, even if I never lost another pound, but I continued to eat this way, I'm confident in saying that I have added decades onto my life, not just weeks or days, but decades onto my life eating this way. And that really is what my goal was. I want to see my kids grow up and graduate high school. I want to see them get married. I want to see them have kids. I want to see their kids grow up and eating that diet that I used to eat. Those things were not going to happen. I was not putting myself in a position to have any quality of life that was worth living as I got older. So it's a learning process, and it's an unlearning process. It's tough to convince your brain to do things different than it has done, because it is just such an amazing thing that we are even alive, that and that we can make it to the age we make it to, because for most of human history, it was, you were lucky to be born. You were lucky to make it through the first year. You were lucky to make it through the first 10 years. You were really lucky to make it through the first 20 years, and now we don't live in that environment. Now you can be sickly your whole life and still live for 50 or 60 years because of all of the technology advancements we have, and the access to healthcare, and the drugs that are available to mask the symptoms of these underlying diseases that it's something where our body only knows that we're alive because we've made the choices that we've made up to that point. So our bodies want us to continue to make those choices because those choices are what kept us, why change horses mid race, like why change things when you're still alive, and being alive is such a scarce thing to even have happen. So to try to rewire the brain to understand that while those choices I did make kept me alive, they were not going to keep me alive as long as I'd like to be alive. So yeah, that's been my experience with it. And I'm happy to be where I'm at. And I'm happy to have you guys, following along and cheering me on and being a great support system for me. But I am going to get out of here now. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. Click that bell icon so you can learn when I go live. I had some technical difficulties today. I'll try to clear up the videos and delete the false starts I had at the beginning here so that people can find the right video. If you guys haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing more important. I know 4th of July is coming up and everybody's got barbecue plans or family plans, and it's really easy to just keep pushing that start date down the road. All right, I'll start Tuesday the 5th. That's going to be my new start date. And it is it isn't doing yourself any favors. You're just making it more difficult. You need to get started right now. If you want to see big changes in your life, you have to make big changes. You have to make the tough, difficult decision to get started. And don't fall for the 2 myths of moderation: the myth of moderate change, the idea that you can slowly switch to a health promoting diet from a health crushing diet is very difficult. There are people that say that they can switch, and I know examples of people that have switched from eating a crappy diet to eating a Mediterranean diet and then eating a plant-based diet. And it's so difficult because so many times you make that first step and you stumble, and then you just flip the table and go back to the old ways. And then you say, well, plant-based diet didn't work for me. But when you look at it and you say, well, you only did it for 3 days and you were still drinking sodas, or you still had the French fries, and you called it plant-based. You never give it a real shot. But then you blame that diet for your failure when you didn't completely change. You didn't make the change that you needed to make. Also, don't fall for the myth of moderate consumption. The idea that you can eat a little bit of something unhealthy and you will still be okay. It really just keeps you 1 foot in the door, and it isn't a full commitment. I don't believe that the concept of a balanced diet really exists. I think that you shouldn't be looking to even the health food that you eat out with the junk food that you eat. It should just be all health food and no junk food. So it shouldn't be a balanced diet. It should be an unbalanced diet. And it should be heavily weighed on the healthy side. And the idea that you can eat less food, that you can eat half portions of food, or instead of eating all of the food at the restaurant, I'm going to have half of it put in a to-go box and only eat half of it tonight and then eat the other half for lunch tomorrow. Your body wants a volume of food, and it's going to fight you until you satisfy its need for a volume of food. And I wish I would have known this years and years ago, because I would have made much better decisions and I would be in a much better spot. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thanks for putting up with the stream issues. And if you checked out this whole 1 hour video, I truly appreciate you following along and being part of this with me. So you guys all have a great day. I will be back live tomorrow.